Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudiyat. Nastapesya Bhadrasu Nityam Bhagavata Sevyam. Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhagavati Naistiki. Today we will be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 8, the prayers of Queen Kunti, text 37. We are coming near the end of the prayers of Queen Kunti. Prayers of Queen Kunti started in text 18. Beautiful prayers. We'll first read the Sanskrit of 37. Apyadyanastvam svakrite hita prabho siyasa sivitsurido no jivina yisam no sanyat bhavata parambujat parayanam raja sujochitam asam. Word for word translation. Api, if, adya, today, na, us, tvam, you, svakrita, self-executed, ihita, all duties, prabhu, O my Lord, jihasasi, giving up, svit, possibly, surida, intimate friends, anujivina, leaving at the mercy of Yesam, of whom, na, nor, cha, and, anyat, anyone else, bhavata, your, pada ambujat, from the lotus feet, parayanam, dependent, rajasu, unto the kings, jojita, engaged in, amasam, enmity. Translation and purport by Abhaicharan Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. O my Lord, you have executed all duties yourself, and you are leaving us today. Though we are completely dependent on your mercy, and if no one else to protect us, now when all kings are at enmity with us. Purport. The Pandavas are most fortunate because, with all good luck, they were entirely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. In the material world, to be dependent on the mercy of someone else is the utmost sign of misfortune. But in the case of our transcendental relation with the Lord, it is the most fortunate case when we can live completely dependent on Him. The material disease is due to thinking of becoming independent of everything. But the cruel material nature does not allow us to become independent. The false attempt to become independent on the stringent laws of nature is known as material advancement of experimental knowledge. The whole material world is moving on this false attempt of becoming independent of the laws of nature. Beginning from Ravan, who wanted to prepare a direct staircase to the planets of heaven, down to the present age, they are trying to overcome the laws of nature. They are trying now to approach distant planetary systems by electronic mechanical power. But the highest goal of human civilization is to work hard under the guidance of the Lord and become completely dependent on Him. The highest achievement of perfect civilization is to work with valor, but at the same time depend completely on the Lord. I repeat that, that's important. The highest achievement of perfect civilization is to work with valor, but at the same time depend completely on the Lord. The Pandavas were the ideal executors of this standard of civilization. Undoubtedly, they were completely dependent on the goodwill of Lord Sri Krishna. But they were not idle parasites of the Lord. They were all highly qualified, both by personal character and by physical activities. Still, they always looked for mercy of the Lord, because they knew that every living being is dependent by constitutional position. The perfection of life is, therefore, to become dependent on the will of the Lord, instead of becoming falsely independent in the material world. Those who try to become false independent of the Lord are called anath, or without any guardian, whereas those who are completely dependent on the will of the Lord are called sanath, or those having someone to protect them. Therefore, we must try to be sanath, so that we can always be protected from the unfavorable condition of material existence. By the deluding power of the external material nature, we forget that the material condition of life is the most undesirable perplexity. Bhagavad Gita therefore directs us that after many, many births, one fortunate person becomes aware of the fact that Vasudeva is all in all, and that the best way of leading one's life is to surrender unto him completely. That is a sign of a Mahatma. All the members of the Pandava family were Mahatmas in household life, while Yudhishthira was the head of these Mahatmas, and Queen Kunti Devi was the mother. The lessons of the Bhagavad Gita and all the Puranas, specifically the Bhagavad Purana, are therefore inevitably connected with the history of the Pandava Mahatmas. For them, separation from the Lord was just like separation of a fish from water. Srimati Kunti Devi therefore felt such separation like a thunderbolt, and the whole prayer of the queen is to try to persuade the Lord to stay with them. After the battle of Kurukshetra, although the inimical kings were killed, their sons and grandsons were still there to deal with the Pandavas. It is not only the Pandavas who were put into the condition of enmity, but all of us are in such a condition. And the best way of living is to become completely dependent on the will of the Lord, and thereby overcome all difficulties of material existence. By the deep purport, I read the verse again. Apyatyanastvam svakrite hita prabhu Shihasa sivit surido nuchivina Yesam nasanyat pavata padam buchat Parajanam raja suchotitam masam. O my Lord, you have executed all duties yourself. Are you leaving us today? Though we are completely dependent on your mercy and have no one else to protect us. Now when all kings are at enmity with us. Om Mahyanatimanasya Snansala Shlaka Shakshvan Vitam Yena Tasmai Shigave Nama Chitchetanyamano Vishtam Staptam Yena Bhutale Svamapkadamyam Dadati Svapanantikam Vandeham Shiu Shiyuda Padakamam Shigam Vaishnavam Sa Shirupam Jagajatam Saganaraganatam Tam Tam Sadivam Sadvaitam Savlutam Parjana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakanalita Shifisha Kamvitam Sa. Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jyatpate Gopesha Kopka Kantara Adakant Namastate. Tapta Kansana Galangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwara Vishabhan Sutta Devi Panamama Hari Priya. Pankha Kalupta Vishan Kripa Sindhu Vishan Padnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nami. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravan Pracharani Nirvishesha Srinyavadi Paskachari Tasatani. So this text in this prayer, Lord Queen Kunti expresses how they are only and completely dependent on the mercy of Lord Krishna. That in the purport, we have this senses, this one sentence, which is so important. It says, yes, we must try to walk with great valor, that and at the same time depend on the Supreme Lord. Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Maharaj said, we should work as everything depends on us, knowing well that nothing depends on us. We are completely dependent on Krishna. But we work as everything depends on us, knowing that nothing depends on us, but only on the mercy of the Lord. Queen Kunti and all the Pandavas, it said in the Prabhupada, Mahatmas. Mahatmas Tamamparta Devi Pragatyashita. The Mahatmas are always connected with the spiritual energy. And they are connected because they are surrendered to the Lord, depending completely. And if one depends completely on Krishna, Krishna he reciprocates. Says, Yeyatama pabachanti tamsadeva bhajama. I reciprocate according to one's surrender, Krishna says. So those who are fully surrendered, it takes personally care of them. And Queen Kunti remembered that. But to depend on Krishna, we must know who Krishna is. And Queen Kunti knows who Krishna is. In her first prayer, text 18, she says, yes, you are the original person, the Adi Purush. That you are the source of the material and the spiritual worlds. That you are outside of everything and inside of everything, but we cannot see it because we are covered by this Maya Shavanika, this curtain of illusion that she's very humble. So we learn what surrender means by these prayers. Krishna, she's very humble and says, yeah, great sages, they try to know you. How can I know me? Simple woman. But then she has this famous prayer full of feelings, which shows that how deep she feels connected with Krishna. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindya Namo Namah. She offers our respect to the Supreme Lord, the son of Vasudeva, and the joy of Devaki. That the joy of Devaki and of the cowherd boys of Nanda Maharaj and all the cowherd boys of Vrindavan and those who take care of the cows. That she knows Krishna. Krishna is like a lotus, she says. Krishna has lotus signs on his feet. And his abdomen are like a lotus. And she remembered not only how Krishna protected them, but how Krishna protected Vasudeva and Devaki, killed Kamsa, and how Krishna protected Kunti and her children, the Pandavas, and so many circumstances. One of the circumstances that, because I'm reading again the Mahabharata, I think it's the third time or fourth time I'm reading it, Mahabharata. It's a rendition of Purna Pragya Prabhu. He's translating all kinds of books, devotional books for years. Its first books, English was not so good, but now it's excellent. It's very nice translation. But I read in the Mahabharata that, yes, the Pandavas were sent to this house of shellac, made of shellac, inflammable materials, and they were informed by Vidura in various ways that they had to dig a tunnel in secret. And anyway, but when they did, one night they put the house in flames, and because during that day, before they put the house in flames, Queen Kunti and the Pandavas gave a lot of charities to the Brahmins. And there were some pilgrims, one lady with 5 sons who also was there, and they became a little intoxicated, and they fell asleep on the premises of this building. But then when they put the building on fire, it seems later they were also burned. But they escaped to a tunnel. And Bhima was running with them, having the Queen Kunti and on his arms and the Pandavas. I was running to the forest, and they came out the Ganga, and there Vidura had arranged that someone was waiting for them to bring them up to the other side of the Ganga. And then they continued. And then they came finally at the house of a Brahmin. Well, first Bhima killed Hidimba. He was a man-eater. But then, when they were at the house of the Brahmin, they were very nicely taken care of. But they were feeling we should not depend, and that's mentioned here, we should not depend on someone else. So they felt bad by that. That's mentioned here. To be dependent on the mercy of someone else is an utmost sign of misfortune, and they felt like that. But then they heard that the Brahmin and his wives and daughter, they were crying. And they came. Then during the day, the Pandavas were out for collecting alms. And Only Bhima was staying behind with Queen Kunti. And Queen Kunti heard their host, a Brahmin, crying. And she was saying, yes, she was approaching them and said, what's happening? Maybe we can help. And then it appears that there was a Rakshasa, Baku or something, that and it was terrorizing all the residents of the village there. And every day he demanded that someone of the village should bring some vegetables, a cartload of vegetables, and this person who brings it would also be eaten. So, and there was like every family in turn would send someone, and now it was their turn. And Queen Kunti said, look, don't worry, Bhima will take care of it. But then the other Pandavas came back from begging, and Yudhishthir heard what happened, and he says to Kunti, how can you do that? Bhima is your son, you bring him in danger. A mother usually does not bring his sons in danger. But Kunti says, yes, we cannot depend on the mercy of others. We must do some service here. And I see that Bhima is strong enough. When we came, he killed his man-eater Hidimba. So he will be able to do that. Okay, they sent Bhima to the place with a cartload of vegetables and rice. And the cart arrived at the place, and he was calling out Baku, the name of this demon, and he was eating the vegetables and the rice. And then the Rakshasi appeared, and he became very angry. And he started to attack Bhima, but Bhima was eating. So he was attacking him on the back, but for Bhima, he didn't care. He would first eat his meal. And then when his meal was finished, he washed his hand and then killed the demon. But that is there. To not dependent on the mercy of others. That's a misfortune. But depending on Krishna is the greatest fortune. And Queen Kunti is here, is saying here, although we went to so many adventures, but you always protected us. Otherwise, we would, all the strength of Bhima comes from you. So you saved us from this fire in that house. You saved Bhima from a poisoned cake, because Bhima was always playing with the sons of Dhritarashtra. And he was just playing with them, but like they were climbing in the trees, and Bhima would move the trees, and then the fruits would fall, but also the sons of Dhritarashtra. And some of them were breaking their legs. And so they became very inimical to Bhima. They wanted to get rid of Bhima. Therefore, they made this plot to send them to a house made of inflammable material, shellac. But they also once, Dhritarashtra, they trust their son Duryodhan, made arrangements that they make a big cake for Bhima and put it full of poison. The poison of the cobra, it's very heavy. So, but Bhima didn't care. He ate the complete cake. But then after that, he felt sleepy and he lost consciousness. And then all the sons of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana were binding him at the legs and throwing him in the lake, and his body was going down to the bottom of the river. And for a few days, nobody heard something about Bhima, and Queen Kunti and the Pandavas became worried. But then some sages said, Bhima is being blessed with a long life, so he should be still okay. But then he was at the bottom of the water, and he woke up. When he woke up, because snakes were biting him. But the bites, the poison of the snakes was neutralizing the poison of the cake in his blood, and gave him a lot of strength. And he broke all the cords. He was bound, and he came out of the water. So Bhima and the Pandavas. So Queen Kunti was remember all of this. Their exile in the forest. They could have been killed so many times, but every time they were saved. And she remembered, you have saved us from the weapon, from this Brahmastra Vashvatam. But Queen Kunti was saying, let all these miseries come again and again, these calamities. Because then I think of you. When I think of you, there is no birth and death. But then she gives insights for us if we want to surrender to Krishna. That you have this verse, Shanmashva Shuddhashmir Edamana Madampam Naivrata Vam Tvama Kinshana Gocha. To pray feelingly to Krishna, we must be materially exhausted, not wanting good birth. Don't be attached to beauty or education. Not wanting material wealth. If we are attached to such things, we cannot pray feelingly. It means we cannot chant Hare Krishna feelingly. We cannot chant and come to the clearing stage if we have this attachment. So that's something we have to work on. Give that up. So because you are the property of the materially exhausted. So you don't need our service. You are Atmaram, satisfied yourself. You have nothing to do with material nature and all these reactions. That you are the eternal time. But you don't know a beginning, no end. That all this fighting amongst people are a result of their social interaction. Interesting, Queen Kunti says, no, you are leaving us. Now all these kings are at enmity with us. So this fighting does not solve the problems. The battle was over, but all these descendants are still there. And they will retaliate at a certain moment. And that's like that, all these wars that are going on now in this world, it's creating more and more enmity and more war. It's a cycle. It all comes back. Anyway, there's a law of karma also. One who takes up the sword will be killed by the sword. It's in the Bible. Law of karma. It doesn't solve anything. So she was aware of that. We need protection. This material world is not a happy place. That is a place of suffering. Dukkha layama sasvatam. If we think it's a happy place, we are in illusion. And we have to come out of this illusion to make spiritual progress. And Queen Kunti is out of illusion. She knows it's a place of misery. And our only protection is Krishna. No one else can protect us. No one else can protect us against birth and death. No one else can remove our karma. No one else can. Therefore, Krishna is our real friend. But knowing Krishna, say it is difficult. That because you are just playing the role of a human being. We have now the Damodar month starting. Krishna plays the role of a child. But is he a child? No. That's a big mistake if we think. He's a Supreme Lord. But he's in a very merciful form because he reciprocates with the modes, with the surrender of his devotees. And he likes to be chastised by Mother Yasoda because he knows Mother Yasoda loves me. Their love is unparalleled. And she did everything she could to catch Krishna and bind him. So we have to do also our best, everything what we can to serve Krishna's nice, especially in this mission. Krishna will reciprocate for us. The same way that, so yes, that she knows Krishna. Also, Krishna is going to leave, but she knows Krishna is everywhere. That you are the power of life, that you are the unborn, that but you are playing the role as a human being, also in your incarnations, even as animals. And she remembers especially Yasoda trying to bind Krishna with a rope. And now Krishna started crying out of fear that he is fear personified. Fear is afraid. Fear personified is afraid of him. And then Krishna, Queen Kunti reveals the compassionate nature of Krishna. She says, yes, some say you are appear to to please King Yadu, or to please, or to reciprocate with Brahma's prayers, that, or to please Vasudeva and Devaki, that so to help the demigods. To give so many reasons that but you also appeared, says she, to rejuvenate this devotional service, to give it to everyone and bring everyone back to Godhead. That because by performing these pastimes, devotees, all devotees in later times, they can still absorb in these pastimes by hearing the Bhagavatam, by hearing your pastimes from the Bhagavatam. That by that they can also escape birth and death. That so this is the mood of Queen Kunti. And we have to keep that mood into our hearts. All these realizations about Krishna she is sharing with us. It's good to read this, to hear these prayers again and again. That Queen Kunti is a pure devotee, and she reveals to us Krishna's identity and how to love Krishna. That therefore our only choice is to depend on Krishna. But we think, being under illusion, that there are so many other shelters, that our husband or our wife, of our children, our family. But these are false shelters. The real shelter is Krishna, who is within your heart. That we have to learn every time there is, especially when there are difficult situations, think of Krishna, Radha and Krishna in your heart. That because this body and everything we are related to in this world is temporary and therefore false. Soon as we are out of it. But, so these are the lessons of Queen Kunti, and especially the lesson today, to depend on Krishna. How to depend on Krishna, we are discussing in our small group already a few days, Nectar of Instruction, that is really teaching how to do it, these first 5 verses. And without going to these first 5 verses and practicing them in our life, we cannot make spiritual advancement. Therefore, it's so important. It's a summary of the entire Nectar of Devotion and the signs of surrender. That, any questions or comments?
Maharaj, no questions from here, but thank you very much, Maharaj.
Yeah. Okay. And for next week, I would like to do the same thing. Wednesday evening, Nectar of Instruction, and Thursday morning, the Bhagavatam class, if that's okay.
Yes, Maharaj.
Thank you very much. And
Thank
wish
you.
a very
Hare Krishna.
Very Krishna conscious day.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.